Greetings everybody. Hello and welcome back to the channel. If there are any first-time viewers, let me say how excited I am to have you join us. Today I will be continuing my discussion of all things Zigbee. I was going to have this all in one video, but I believed that it would be unjust to attempt to include them all in the one video. So I decided to separate them into 3 videos. In the first video, I talked about the conversion of a Zigbee bridge for use with the ZHA or Zigbee Home Automation integration. In this second video, I will be detailing the conversion of a Zigbee Bridge Pro for the use with the ZHA integration. This process is going to be very similar but different. So I am sorry if you're seeing or hearing some repeat content, as I am not sure how to split these videos up and provide the relevant information you need without making you watch all 3. And why should you if the other ones don't apply to you? Zigbee has gained popularity in the home automation industry in recent years due to its popularity among hobbyists and its integration with hardware from many manufacturers and software like Home Assistant, which makes it an ideal candidate in my opinion. Also, a smart home system should be able to expand over time because you never know when you'll need something else. Are you ready for the second round? Obviously you are. So let's go. Alright, aside from Home Assistant, a Zigbee device, and the Zigbee Bridge Pro, we will require a few additional items to complete this. All links are provided in the description below, but what we need is an FTDI serial to USB converter that is 3.3 volt capable, a USB extension cable, a soldering iron, a TS80P is my recommendation. It's small, compact, and portable, but you can always get it done with a cheaper one. DuPont cables or breadboard wires, and I'm going to again use DuPont cables. Pin headers, and this is your choice, but I find for the Zigbee Bridge Pro installing pin headers is much easier to do, and as well the Tasmodo 32 binary for the Zigbee Bridge Pro. So like in all my other videos, let's do a version check by going to Settings and About. And here we can see the latest versions that I'm running for Home Assistant. And all of this information I am pulling from this Blackadder site. And if we go over to the Zigbee device compatibility repository, it has everything that you're going to require and more. But first, let's review some basic terminology so that everyone is on the same page. There are 3 fundamental components of a Zigbee mesh network: end devices, routers, and coordinators. However, these components can sometimes perform multiple functions. Coordinators, which can also route data to end devices and other routers, are the initial component required to establish a Zigbee mesh network. After a coordinator has been installed, further devices can be added to the network. The next device is a router, which may offer end device information, route traffic, and aid in the mesh network extension by enabling the coordinator to route data across newly created links. And finally, end devices, which often do not route data or contribute to the extension of a mesh network. The majority of Zigbee devices consist of end devices such as sensors and home appliances. There is one caveat. There are a lot of end devices which are mains powered that are able to route data as well as be an end device. And the total number of Zigbee devices on your network is dependent on the hardware and software of your coordinator, as well as the number of routers in your network. The Zigbee Bridge Pro will be configured as a coordinator in this video, and it's going to be responsible for managing the Zigbee network and ensuring that all devices can communicate with one another. Coordinators play an important role in network security since they are responsible for transmitting security keys to other network devices. Once our Zigbee coordinator is operational, we will begin integrating an end device into the network. And just a couple of things about this website. You can see here that you can search for devices by gateways or by type. So if you want to sort the list for Zigbee Home Automation, you just click on that and then it'll give you a big list of everything that is compatible with Zigbee Home Automation, and it is an extensive list. And if you ever wanted to know about a device, you can always click on the device and it will give you a brief tutorial all about it, where you can purchase them from. And as well, you can, like I said, sort devices by type. So if we go by coordinators, here is all the coordinators that you can use. And on the side here is what it is compatible with. And the legend is just at the top here at the home page of it. So as in the previous video that I did, we're going to begin with flashing, followed by integration into Home Assistant, and finally pairing. But just a brief note before we begin, unlike the Dongle Plus, which I'm going to cover in video 3, it must be connected to your Raspberry Pi or PC and passed to Home Assistant. But these bridges, however, they can be installed anywhere in your home, regardless of how your Home Assistant instance is being operated, and they only require power input. And that's because we are converting them over to a TCP bridge. Okay, so the Tasmodo 32 binary is going to get flashed onto this device using the FTTI serial to USB converter, and this time I'm going to go with the ESP Home web installer. If you are unfamiliar with the word flashing, it refers to the process of uploading or updating the software currently loaded onto the device. So this time we're going to have to download the latest firmware for the Zigbee Bridge Pro from Tasmodo's GitHub page. And at the time of filming, it was the Tasmodo 32 Zigbee Bridge Pro .factory.bin, and it's version 12.2. This image is going to have everything that we require. And as always, there are numerous methods to flash this device. I'm only displaying a simple method that does not involve additional software being installed. So let's go ahead and download that binary. Okay, so again, warning, by following my guide, I'm offering no express or implied warranty of any sort. I will also not be held liable for any product defects or damages to you or your equipment resulting in the use of this guide. You could be severely injured or killed if you are flashing devices that are plugged into mains level voltage. We're not doing that here, so the chance of that happening is slim to none. However, if you don't know what you're doing, stop and seek assistance from someone who does. You can blow up your board and you will have to buy a new one. So to reach the screws, we're going to need to disassemble the device by removing the 4 rubber feet on the bottom. Now remove the PCB and, if desired, solder a 5-pin header, as I have, which makes it a lot easier to connect up your FTDI to the device to flash it. And you can connect either breadboard wires or DuPont cables to the following pins. As we see, we are going from TX to RX, RX to TX, GPIO 0 to ground on the power on, and then you can remove it. However, you can leave it on, it's okay. Ground to ground, and 3.3 volt to 3.3 volt, or VCC. So the bridge must be in programming mode prior to flashing the Tasmodo binary, and that's what we're doing by connecting GPIO 0 to ground while the device is booting. And like I said, it is acceptable to leave that ground connected throughout the flash, but we do have to detach it before rebooting the device so that it goes back into normal mode and out of flashing. Once all the wires are connected as shown, we can connect the FTDI to our USB extension cable, then to the computer, and then load ESP Home Web Installer. I'm just going to be holding the GPIO 0 pin to the ground while it boots to put it into flashing mode. However, you can jam that pin inside and leave ground connected at all times. So I will go ahead and plug my FTDI into the USB extension cable. And then I will come over here to ESP Home and hit connect. And I will find my USB device and click connect. Now we can see that we are connected. And now I'm going to click on the install button, and then I am going to choose the file that we downloaded. Once you have it selected, just go ahead and click install. And this is automatically erasing our device and flashing the new firmware onto it. Alright, so now that it's been flashed, we can go ahead and detach it from the USB and the FTDI in order to power it down. And once we have it powered down, we're going to power it back up by simply connecting a USB cable to the port. When we do, we should see a new Wi-Fi access point, which I will connect to. And once I'm connected, then we're going to navigate over to a default IP address of 192.168.4.1, where we should be able to see another Wi-Fi list that shows our Wi-Fi that we want to connect our new coordinator to. So let's just go ahead and get this thing powered back up. Okay, so I have it plugged in, and now we'll go to the Wi-Fi list, and we should see there is the Tasmodo. So I am going to connect to it, and if yours doesn't automatically bring you to this page, just as I said, navigate over to 192.168.4.1. Go ahead and select your Wi-Fi network. Mine does not have a password for where I am currently working out of, and then just hit save. It's successfully connected, and as you can see, it's giving me a new IP address. So I am just going to connect back to my regular network, and I'm just gonna have to scroll the video back to grab that IP address. Alright, so thanks to the GitHub discussion here, we can see that the next step now is we're going to go into the Berry console, and we're going to run a command that's going to load the coordinator software onto our Zigbee. So we can just go ahead and copy this, and then in consoles, and then Berry scripting console, we're going to paste that in, and then run code or press enter twice. And to see what it's doing, if we just go back into the console, it is running. The verification of the hex file was okay. So the next thing to do is to flash. So now back in the Berry console, we will paste that command in and run that. This may take a few minutes, so once it is completed, I'll just bring the video back. Okay, now that it is finished flashing, we're going to go into the logs in the console. And there we can see flashing completed. So what it says now is we just have to restart the device, and then our Zigbee coordinator has been flashed. So if we go back to consoles, main menu, and restart. Perfect. Now it is starting the coordinator. Zigbee started. And now we can pair with Home Assistant. So over in Home Assistant, if we navigate over to Settings, Devices and Services, and click on Add Integration, we're going to search for ZHA, or Zigbee Home Automation. And we're going to enter manually again and hit submit. This time, as we saw in the console, it is, as we saw here, it is ZNP. So we are going to pick the ZNP radio type and hit submit. For our device serial path, we are going to type socket, and we're going to give the IP address of our device. And at the end, we're going to go 8888. The port speed is already what we want it to be. And for data flow control, we're going to click software and then hit submit. Okay, so there is one other thing that we have to do in our console, and that is to paste this command, which we find a little bit further down. And then hit enter. And that's going to start the device TCP on 8888. And now we can see it started it on 8888. So now if we come back over to Home Assistant and add that same integration, we're going to enter manually again, ZNP radio, submit, and here it is socket and then hit submit. So again, we're going to keep radio network settings, and now we can see it initializing in Home Assistant. And at this point, once it initializes and connects with Home Assistant, everything is going to remain the same for pairing our devices. I'm not too sure what this UNK manufacturer is, but for the Zigbee coordinator here, we can go ahead and put it into an area if you want. I'm just going to leave mine blank for the video and click finish. So now the same thing, if we go into configure, we can add a device which will put Zigbee into its pairing mode. Another way that we can get it into this pairing mode is to go to developer tools and then to go to services, and we can call a service, and the service that we're going to call is ZHA.permit, and you can give this a time and then call the service, and it will be now in its pairing mode. But I'm going to go back to settings, devices, and configure and add the device this way. So now with the device, we just have to put it into its pairing mode. And we can see my temperature device. And let's pair the next device, which is just a button. And now we will take it out of pairing mode. And let's just shrink this down a little. So now if we go to the visualization, we can see the devices. Here is the weather. Again, if someone knows what this device here is, I would love to know, because this is our coordinator here. If we go back to the network and we go to our devices, we can now see the remote and our weather. And again, the button does not have any buttons that would show. The only thing is the battery. So in order to get those working, if we go into our automations and we create an automation, an empty automation, and we add a trigger from a device, if we type in Lumi, and here is the remote, we can do a double button press, short press, long release, or battery level change. So let's just do a short button press, and you can add conditions and actions when that happens. I'm just going to save it so that you can see that when I push the button, it triggers. So then you could have that turn off a light, turn on a light, or do whatever you want. And if we go back to the dashboard and we edit it, we can add a card and we can add the temperatures. We'll just hit save, and there we can see the temperatures in the current location. Okay, my friends, it is that time. This is where I'm going to conclude the video. You can have fun pairing all of your Zigbee devices. And if you've made it this far, I really appreciate you. If you haven't yet, please click subscribe. I love making these videos, but they do take up a bit of my time. Again, researching, filming, and editing. So by subscribing, you'll help support the channel. I hope you discovered something useful today. As always, please share your thoughts in the comment section, and I hope to see you in future videos. Goodbye.